All right, let's talk about something that drives pretty much every English learner crazy. It's that little voice in your head, the one that's constantly translating everything back and forth from your native language. It's the biggest wall standing between you and real fluency, and it all starts with this one super frustrating feeling.
Have you ever been there? You're right in the middle of a great conversation. You know exactly what you want to say. And then, nothing. Your brain just hits a wall, it just freezes. You're searching, scrambling for that perfect word while the conversation just moves on without you. It's a terrible feeling, but listen, it is so common. And it's not because you're bad at English. It's a symptom of something much bigger.
So, who's the culprit in this story? Well, it's something we call mental translation. Think of it like your brain's default setting when you're learning something new. You come up with a thought in your native language, where it's all cozy and comfortable, and then you try to force it through this slow, clunky translation machine in your head, word by word. And that process, that's the very thing that's holding you back.
And just look at this process. It's wild. This is why it feels so exhausting. You think it would be simple, right? Hear English, speak English, but nope. Instead, you're stuck in this crazy 5-step loop. Hear it, translate it, think of a reply, translate that back, and then finally speak. I mean, no wonder you feel tired after a conversation. Your brain is running a marathon for every single sentence.
This is a huge mindset shift. The goal isn't to upgrade your mental translation machine to make it faster. Nope. The goal is to throw the whole machine out. It's about firing the middleman. And in this case, the middleman is your native language, getting in the way. We want a direct line, a straight shot from English to meaning. And that brings us to where we want to go. We're aiming for what we call the direct thinking shift. This is the promised land, you know? It's where your brain learns to link English words right to the actual meaning, with no pit stops, no translation breaks along the way. I mean, just look at the difference here. On one side, you've got the translation path. It's slow, it's clunky, it takes a ton of mental energy, and it's why you hesitate. But then look at the direct path. English straight to meaning. Bam! It's fast, it feels effortless, and that is where real confidence comes from. That's our target. Okay, so how do we actually do this? Well, it's not like flipping a switch overnight. It's a journey, a process. But the good news is, there's a map. We're going to walk through a really clear 5-stage journey to basically rewire your brain, step by step, out of the old translation habit. All right, let's dive in. Stage 1. This is the foundation, the ground floor. It's all about breaking one simple automatic habit, seeing an English word and immediately thinking of the word in your language. We have to break that link and build a new one. So, here's your first mission. The goal is to connect English words directly to images or ideas. So when you hear apple, I want you to picture a red, crunchy apple. Don't let your brain jump to the word apple in your language. A super powerful way to practice this is to get an English-only dictionary. When you learn a new word, don't write the translation. Draw a little picture of it, or write a simple English sentence explaining it. You're basically forcing your brain to stay inside the English zone. Okay, so once you've started building that direct link between words and images, we're ready for stage 2. This is where we start to build an inner voice, that little narrator in your head, but we're going to get it to start speaking in English. Now, the big idea here is something called broken but direct thinking. And let me be clear, it does not have to be perfect. In fact, trying to be perfect is your worst enemy at this stage. We're going for speed, not correctness. And the exercise? So simple. For just 5 or 10 minutes a day, talk to yourself in your head about what you're doing. I wake up. I need coffee. I walk to bus stop. It feels a little silly at first, but trust me, this is how you start making English your brain's default operating system. Stage 3, okay, this one is a game changer. This is where we graduate from thinking in single words to thinking in whole phrases, what we call chunks. Think about it this way. Native speakers don't build sentences like they're playing with Legos, clicking one brick onto another. No way. Their brain is more like a giant library of pre-made phrases. They just grab a whole chunk off the shelf. You know, things like, that makes sense, or how's it going? Your job is to start collecting these chunks and learn them as one single piece, one unit. Just pick a few each week and say them over and over until they feel totally automatic. All right, stage 4. Now we're getting into how we can use all the English you're listening to and reading to actually change the way you think. This is where we let the language itself do the heavy lifting, kind of rewiring your brain from the outside.
The fancy term for this is comprehensible input, but all it really means is this: surround yourself with English you can mostly understand. And there are 2 golden rules here. Rule number 1, turn off the subtitles in your native language. I know it's tempting, but turn them off. Rule number 2, do not pause to look up every single word you don't know. Your goal is to just get the gist of it. A fantastic little exercise is to watch a short 2-minute video, and as soon as it's over, try to summarize what you just saw out loud in simple, broken English. It works wonders.
And that brings us to the final stage. Stage 5. Think of this as the final challenge: pressure training. This is where we take all the skills we've been building and force our brain to use them when it really counts, in real time. The whole point here is to create situations where your old habit of translating is just too slow. It can't keep up. You can do this by setting a 30-second timer to answer a question or finding a friend to have a conversation where you're not allowed to pause. What happens is amazing. When you add just a little bit of time pressure, your brain is forced to find a shortcut. And guess what that shortcut is? Yup, thinking directly in English. Okay, I know what you might be thinking. 5 stages. That sounds like a lot. But here's the secret. You don't have to tackle it all at once. The real magic happens when you build a small, simple daily habit. Let's break down what a daily mission could look like. Here's your daily workout plan. And look how manageable this is. 5 minutes of that inner monologue while you're making coffee. 10 minutes of listening to a podcast on your commute. 5 minutes summarizing it out loud while you're walking. It all adds up. We're not talking about hours of studying here. It's all about consistency, day in and day out. So you're doing all this work, but how do you know it's actually paying off? Because the progress isn't always a giant leap. It's often really subtle. So let's talk about the real signs that show you're on the right path. Forget about tracking grammar mistakes. The real signs of success are things like this. You notice you're responding just a little bit quicker than last week, or an English word pops into your head and you see an image, not a translation. You start to get that feeling, that intuition when a sentence just sounds right. And honestly, my favorite one is when you're so lost in an English conversation that you actually struggle for a second to remember a word in your own language. That's when you know, oh yeah, this is working. This really boils down to a choice. Are you going to stay on the left side or move to the right? Are you going to keep waiting for perfect grammar, or are you just going to speak with simple grammar? Are you going to translate just to be safe, or are you going to take a leap and guess from the context? This is the fundamental shift from being a passive student to being an active, confident speaker. So let's end with this one big idea. That mental translation habit, it's not a failure. Not at all. Think of it as a bridge that got you to where you are right now. It was necessary. But fluency, well, fluency is on the other side of that bridge. And the journey to fluency starts the second you decide to stop just standing there and you take that first step forward. So I want to leave you with a challenge. What's the first small step you're going to take today to start walking off that bridge? Are you going to narrate your actions for just 5 minutes? Are you going to learn one new phrase, one new chunk? Maybe you'll watch a short video with the subtitles turned off. It doesn't have to be big. Just pick one thing. Because that journey, it really does start right now.